Back at it again, Champion Youth Podcast.
I love that intro.
Yeah,
you know,
so good.
If you're watching on YouTube, you get to see us like anticipate the drop. If you're listening, we might startle you when the drop hits and you're just like, oh my gosh, they're yelling, they're talking. But here we are.
Back at it again. Kinda like that. Snow is back at it again.
Snow is back at it again, man.
What the heck is happening?
I have no idea.
It's ridiculous.
And literally tomorrow it's meant to be 48 degrees. So like hilarious how that works.
It's like God reminding us, oh, by the way, you guys live in Chicago. Enjoy. Like, oh, thank you.
I thought you were going to say like God reminding us like he makes us clean as snow.
No.
You know, like white as snow.
I definitely have negative thoughts going through my head right now with the snow. Like, I love the snow. Don't get me wrong. I grew up in Arizona and Dallas where it didn't snow.
I forgot.
So I still have this like childlike, oh, when there's snow, it's Christmas, it's magical. But when it's March or April, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
A long time. Someone just asked.
Please don't interrupt us unless you're called upon,
We're
Andrea.
supposed to be talking
just
to
because you got an audience mic now doesn't mean you can talk whenever you want.
Who gave her that mic? It's ridiculous.
Wow. Dude, okay, so Justin Bieber's album comes out Friday.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd update everyone.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. It's kind of like,
What's it called? Justice?
Justice. Yeah. So
like how I knew that?
Wait, what?
Like how I knew what it was called? Like
impressive.
Impressive.
Another thing that's cool today is I texted Tom Brady.
Wait, stop.
Yeah, I got Tom Brady's
respond?
number. Yeah, I mean he responded with an automated message, but he said he said this is an automated message, but all other messages from now on will be from my personal phone. So and then it said like save my number and all that stuff. So I
did you tell him about the Champion Youth podcast?
I didn't, but I definitely fangirled.
Maybe you should next.
Yeah, I'll wait for him to respond. And
by the way,
I'll
listen
be like,
to
you inspired us.
Episode 2 was about you. Listen.
Amazing. Another thing that happened is daylight savings, guys. How are you feeling about daylight savings?
Listen, daylight savings kicked my... It just kicked my tail. It never has before. I felt like I traveled to London or something. Like I had this massive jet lag. And I don't know why. It never has done that to me before.
Wait.
It really messed me up.
Did you just say you felt like you traveled to London?
Yeah.
That just registered in my head. Wait, is this like a normal thing?
No. Actually, what's funny about that, I've never been to London, so I don't even know what that would feel like.
I'm so confused right now. I was just like listening, like, yeah. I was like, wait a second. What? Oh, wow.
Funny. But I've heard all of your horror stories of like jet lag from going to the other side of the pond. So I was feeling like that's what it did to me. Like I took a nap yesterday afternoon and I woke up and still felt bad. And then at like 7 o'clock, I was so tired and had a headache and a migraine. And I'm like, why am I so tired? And then I slept really good last night, woke up today and I feel on point. I feel good.
Wow.
So
I mean,
you're the daylight savings time.
Wow. Just, like we're going against it.
You.
No, you're the third person that's mentioned like that you're struggling with daylight savings, and I don't really talk to very many people, so that's a lot. 3 people. And you know who my second person was?
Who?
Jacob.
Oh my gosh.
Jacob walked into my office today and he was like, Bro, daylight savings, man, just like totally messed me up. And I'm like, why? And he's like, I don't know. It's just an hour, an hour gone. And I was like, well, were you awake for the He's like, it went from like 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. And I'm like, were you awake for it? He's like, yeah, I was watching Harry Potter. I'm like, what is happening? But I genuinely don't understand. Like, shouldn't we be used to it by now? I mean, in Arizona, there's no daylight savings.
So there is no daylight savings
time. So that
time.
is a fact.
It took me a little time to get used to it. But I think what hit me this year was I actually wasn't expecting it. So when I went to bed late on Saturday night at 1 a.m. and then I woke up at 5 a.m., I was not ready for that train wreck of only getting 4 hours of sleep. Mind you, you know this about me. I don't really care about sleep. Like if I get 5 or 6 hours, I'm golden. But I only got 4, and that really screwed me up. Like I need 5 or 6.
Yeah,
and
wow.
then I'm good.
You know, I'm like I'm subscribed to these like daily emails where I get like heads up on
Like
the
Fast
next
Wrong
day.
Thinking?
Well, yes.
Those daily emails?
Yes. So this is similar to Fast and Wrong Thinking, but I get an email every night that tells me what's coming the next day.
Oh, okay.
You know, all these like national holidays and acknowledgements and whatever, you know, like National Strawberry Day or whatever.
Love it.
So I was on it. I was anticipating. I was ready. Like daylight savings tomorrow, boom. Like Pi Day. Like I was all about it. Yeah.
So what's today's day, if you don't mind me asking?
I actually so when there's because sometimes there's 4 random ones in one day, and when they don't matter to me or mean anything, I just delete and I kind of forget. Yeah. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
So today wasn't that great of a day.
No, there's not really much happening today. So yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cool.
But since we were talking about emails and you know subscription and daily emails, we just finished our Fast and Wrong Thinking. So that was a solid experience, like always. I think this is what is this, our 4th year, 5th year doing it as a church?
Actually, a lot longer than that, which is funny that you don't know that.
What?
But we've actually been doing Fast and Wrong Thinking for, I think, 9 or 10 years, something like that. But to your defense, it has gotten more and more popular
more
over
official.
the years, and so.
I was in Australia.
That's a good excuse.
I didn't really know what was happening at that time.
I didn't get emails back then.
Yeah.
I didn't subscribe to my dad
right.
back then.
Exactly. No, wow.
But yeah,
okay.
so many years. But what's cool about it is it never gets old.
Right.
And it's kind of like anything. Like, you know when you're watching a movie and the first time you watch it, you're like, okay, that was a good movie. And then you're like, I want to watch it again. That was a good movie. And then you watch the second time, and you're like, wow, that was a really good movie. But I still don't understand it. So then you watch it a third time, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this movie has wrecked my entire existence. I now understand the concept of the universe because of this movie.
Wow.
That's how I feel about Fast and Wrong Thinking. Each year I do it, it makes more and more sense. And I'm like, that's why I'm so screwed up. I actually get it now. Thank you, Pastor Gregory Dickow, for pouring into us.
Wow. I was going to say, on the flip hand, you could watch a movie and be like, oh, this movie sucks. I'm not going to watch it again.
Yeah.
And that's how you know Fast and Wrong Thinking is good.
Yeah.
Because it's not like that.
I love that. Yeah.
And can you think of a movie that you've watched and you're like, oh, I need to watch that again, and then you watch it again, and then it blows your mind?
Oh, yeah. I would probably say for sure Endgame was one of those movies that every time I watch it, it makes more and more sense.
Nice.
And I'm probably 6 or 7 times into it at this point.
Yeah.
But I would actually probably say the whole Marvel universe is like that for me. Because I recently just went back and watched everything in chronological order.
Oh, what?
And it was so mind-boggling the way that it all interconnects. And it's like, man, this all makes so much more sense.
Yep.
When you're watching it in order since 2005 or whatever, you kind of forget all the other stuff.
Right,
so that's a perfect example to me.
No, that's a beautiful journey. I actually did that journey a couple years ago with Jake and Caleb and Jimmy, Chandler, Izzy. It was awesome.
And it is not time wasted.
No.
It is probably some of the best time you can spend.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
definitely,
just
absolutely.
saying that.
I was gonna say my movie that I thought of is 500 Days of Summer.
Ooh, yeah.
But I actually I realized every time I watched it, I just verified, this movie sucks. Yeah. just throwing that out there. I absolutely hate that movie. Anyways, moving on. Fast and Wrong Thinking. Dude, maybe you want to share one of your favorite thoughts from the past?
Yeah, I love it. So
all 40 days.
We want to take a moment here and just talk about the 40-day fast. And the reason for that is because it's not something that has to end just because it ended Friday.
Yes.
Maybe you did it right on track every day. Maybe you did it kind of inconsistently over 40 days. Maybe you didn't do it at all. Maybe you're behind a little bit. It doesn't really matter, any of that. It's the concept of making sure that just because the 40 days is over, it doesn't mean we stop trying to think right. Because as a man or woman thinks, so are they. So we want to continue the habits of replacing bad thoughts or negative thoughts or wrong thoughts with God's way of thinking, because God's way of thinking is higher and is better. So that's kind of why we want to talk about this a little longer or a little further, is because it's not, okay, expiration date, it's over, let's move on. And I'm going to think wrong now until next February 1st, and then maybe I'll start thinking right. No, we want everyone listening, we want you to continue these habits over the course of your daily life. Anytime a thought comes in, obliterate that thought with God's word. Wow. So,
preach.
All that to be said, my personal favorite thought this year was the victim mentality. And the reason that thought, like, I don't necessarily think that I play the victim mentality. Like, I don't think that's a problem I have, but I think that it's a problem all of us have. And it really spoke to me how easy that can, like, get rooted in, and like the weeds of that thought can, like, overtake even in subtle ways, where you start to really, with that thought, you start to process even simple things through the wrong filter of what the wrong filter is. Why is this happening to me? Anything that happens in life. It could be just, wrecking your car, which I did recently. And I remembered thinking, why is this happening to me, God? Don't you love me? What the heck? And I remember not hearing a word back from God in that moment. But I remember realizing, like, shut up, Brandon. You hit a patch of ice. You were driving too fast. You were looking at your phone, reading a text message. So you wrecked your car, you idiot. So why is this happening to me? Versus the right filter of victim mentality. The right filter says, God, what are you trying to teach me from this? Why is this happening? This is happening for me. God didn't cause it. I caused it because I'm an idiot. But this is happening for me so that I can learn to put my phone down when I'm driving. Because if that were to happen and get hit by a semi-truck and all my children die because I'm an idiot, this is happening for my good, not to me. God's not causing things. He's not sending the storm, but he's allowing. Romans 8:28 should be the filter that fixes this. All things work together for good to those who love God, right? God is causing all things. People put a period there. No, God is causing all things to work together for good. So that's really the thought that hit me hard this year.
It's all about perspective, man. Like,
perspective.
We could get so messed up with the wrong perspective, and especially in today's world where, like, there's a lot of blame shifting. And even in Instagram DM discussions or arguments, or even just regular, like, text arguments or whatever, like, you can take things so wrongly, and then, like, when you breathe and you, like, maybe you sleep on it or whatever, and then you come back the next day, you actually, like, clear your head a little bit. You're like, dang, like, I actually was pretty rude when I said that. Or I don't know if that's everyone's experience, but, like, for me, like, in the moment, I'm like, dang, this person's so dumb, like, they suck, like, they're wrong, blah blah blah. But then, like, I'm actually, like, partaking in that same action by, my responses and stuff, and then I realize later, like, I instigated that conversation. And this is just one example. It's not what you're talking about necessarily, but I'm talking about perspective. And how, like, we can't just always look to blame others for things like you said with your car. Like, it's not God's fault, It's actually, like, things that you can work on, and other examples too. Like in I don't know, like, I'm blanking on, like, other examples, so this is kind of awkward.
Any example.
But yeah, like, we could, something goes wrong in our life, and we could easily try to think of, like, oh, well, that's because this, and well, if my mom, like, showed up on time, or if my mom didn't do this or whatever, like, we just, like, shift blame. We're so, like, natural about, like, just, like, pinpointing other people other than ourselves. But, like, actually in reality, there's things that we could do that we have control over that would change the situation. But we're lazy, and so.
Well, it goes all the way back to the beginning, all the way back to Adam and Eve, the blame shifting game. Adam didn't take responsibility. He didn't take ownership. He's just like, oh, it was the woman's fault, which, is so easy to do. Just point the finger, blame other people. And perspective, I think you hit it. Perspective is the key to changing negativity. One really quick story, and then I want to hear your thought.
For sure.
I think about the many, many times my kids don't want to eat dinner, and Nellie made a phenomenal dinner. Took hours. It's so good, but because there's cauliflower on the plate, everything else is, oh, this is so terrible. This is negative, 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 my children, right? But it's like, this is such a good dinner. And then what do I do as a father? Naturally, the right thing to do, I pull up my computer and I get pictures of me hanging out with starving children in Haiti who do not have the great dinner. And I give my kids a little perspective. Maybe this is bad. Maybe this is not the right way to parent. But let me tell you something, my friends. The moment those kids see some perspective, all of a sudden their dinner looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're right, Dad. And they start shuffling it.
Wow.
And all of a sudden their mentality shifts because of a visual, a perspective. And so even though that's not great parenting by any means, but every parent has done that at some point.
I was going to say, parenting tips, like take them down. Get these tips down now. No, that's awesome, bro. Perspective. And perspective is one of the themes in my favorite thought that we fasted from, which is I feel stuck. Because being stuck in life, in a situation, in a season, or like maybe like the current state of your, like where you're at in life, like it's a lot of it's rooted in our perspective. And I just think, when you those life hacks, there's like a TikTok trend that's like, show me the life hack that someone showed you that now you just do like subconsciously or whatever. And it's always something that's like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like legit or whatever. Like there's so many like little tips and tricks and things like that we can do through technology on our phone that just make our experience easier. But like we wouldn't have known that until someone showed us. Yeah. And then once someone shows us and we have that perspective, then it's just like assumed. It's natural. It's normal. And you think about other people like, how do you not know this? But like you just figured it out like a week ago. So like I've done that so many times. But like that thought of like, oh man, I feel stuck. Like there's no hope for me. I don't know where I'm going. Like we have to know that there is always something we can do. There's always, like, even when it feels like that, this is out of my control, like nothing's going to change this, there's always something we can do. And this thought specifically, Pastor talked about, like, you can pray. Yeah. And like prayer works. And sometimes we put prayer in a little box in our pocket that we never pull out because we're just like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, like prayer, it's prayer. Like, yeah, like, it's the godly thing to do, but it doesn't work. Yeah. And so then we just keep it there. And the reason why it's not working is because we're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like, and then we pinpoint one experience or whatever, like one little prayer we prayed at bedtime. We're like, God, like, just give me $100 or whatever. Doesn't happen. And then you're like, oh, prayer doesn't work. Like, hello? Like, so anyways, there's always something we can do. And so I really like this one because it encourages me. Like I can always move forward. I can always make progress. I can't just get like bogged down by like, oh, like this is my situation, I just have to accept it. No, like God is for me, he's working for me, he's with me, and I have access to his presence. And so anyways, not to get like deep into it, but that is a real thing. And I actually was talking to a friend, actually someone that graduated from Champion Youth, or not graduated from Champion Youth, graduated from high school. Okay. We obviously have a high school ministry, so that's why I said that. But he graduated from high school a couple years ago, but like did 2-3 years of his high school career in Champion Youth with us, and so he was messaging me the other day and was like, hey man, like I just need some guidance, I need some advice. I don't really know what I'm doing with my life, and I just kind of have come to the realization that like I've like veered off, I've distanced myself from God, and I just feel like I'm not doing life well. Like I've realized that, and I just don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Like, can you help me? And I was like, shoot, like I'm figuring out my life. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it was cool. Like it was just really cool having like such a genuine conversation with someone that was just seeking, like, how do I move forward?
You felt stuck.
And this thought actually is exactly what I went to right away, and just read through it for myself. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, like I can say this, I can help him here, I can chuck this verse to him, whatever. And after that, after a couple of days of us chatting back and forth, he was like, bro, like, thank you so much. Like, but not just like, I'm not just trying to talk about, oh, like he was, I'm glad that it helped him. The things he was saying were really like sticking out to me. And so sorry, I'm making this so long-winded. No, it's good. But something he said was like, when I feel depressed, when I feel anxious, and when I feel like sad about like where I'm at, he's like, yeah, like I'm realizing like I can acknowledge those feelings, and I can, you know, I can admit or just address like, yes, like that is what I feel. And then I decide not to dwell on it, but to dwell on the word, to dwell on like God is for me, to dwell on the purpose that I have, and then set my mind onto those things, and then that allows me to move forward. That's like what he told me after a couple, you know, text exchanges and just encouragement and whatever. And I was just like, dude, I'm so proud of you, because that's exactly how you attack this stuff. You can't just get stuck on how you feel and dwell on your feelings and your problems and your limits and all of that stuff. Like, you can address that. Yes, like, dang, I do feel sad right now, but I'm not going to let that dictate how I act and how I respond and how I choose to move forward from here on out. So
yeah, it's so good.
Anyways, that was like a lot of me talking.
No, it's
Sorry.
like it's the whole life hack thing you're talking about.
Right.
Like, and he maybe even knew what to do but wouldn't do it. And I found myself so many times. I've watched so many of those videos. I love life hack videos.
Yeah.
Little low-key, like, inside look at my mind. I love those. But you know what's funny? As we're talking about this, I can think of so many of those videos I've watched that I have not implemented that would make life so much easier. And it's like, man, oh, that's so cool, I'm gonna do that, and then you forget about it. Or it's like, and now I can't even think of any examples. Like, they're so far gone, but I've wasted so much time seeing those videos or being like, oh yeah, it's awesome, and like the emotional high of that moment. Like, it's so cool, I'm gonna do this, and then you never implement it. And how much that relates to like things like this and the fast and wrong thinking that maybe you heard or you read one morning. It's like, man, that's a life hack. You know, this kid you're talking to, it's like he knew what to do, but he had to re-vocalize it or like hear it from you again. And it's like, how many things do we know what to do? We know to pray. We know to read our word. We know to obliterate the wrong thoughts. But are we doing it? Are we implementing it? Or are we just like, you know, just going through life with all this gold, all these life hacks, all like we know what to do. And then I think about the Apostle Paul. He says, that which I know to do, but I don't do, to me, that is sin. And what is sin? Sin is missing the mark. It's failing. So we sin because we know what to do, but we don't do it.
Sheesh.
Dang, I just got myself saved right there.
No, I love that, bro. It's such a really like relevant point, relatable, because we have 40 days of, you know, like tips, tricks, things that we can correct our thinking, our wrong thinking with, and we just kind of leave it to like, oh well, you know, that was yesterday. I'm moving on now. Oh, I didn't get an email today, so I kind of forgot how to deal with depression. I kind of forgot how to deal with like, you know, not having any hope or not feeling loved. Like, it's all there, you know, and so that's why we stay connected. That's why we follow on Instagram. That's why we listen to the podcast. That's why we tune in on Chai Live. That's why we go to church on Sundays, Wednesday moments. Like, that's why we do these things, because these things help us to be reminded of the truth that we know, but don't put into practice.
Yeah,
and
so good.
when we surround ourselves with people that are putting it into practice, it makes it that much easier for us to do the same. So.
For sure.
Amazing. Is that your timer? Dude, you got it to the T.
Whoa.
Wow. Champion Youth. That is it for today. What a time it's been. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of fun stuff. We really hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast.
Can't wait till next time.
Cannot wait. We'll see you then.